Alright guys, this is Matt McLaughlin here at SBC Scrubs for Hire, bringing you a deck profile of my favorite deck so far in the format, Masterpiece Turbo. I'm going to go ahead and get into the deck and do a little explanation on the cards. Start off, 3 Masterpiece, effect simple, tribute 2 cards, whatever they are, monster, spell, or trap, that's what he's immune by. Once per turn during either player's turn, you banish a spell or continue a spell or trap card from grave and pop a card your opponent controls, or your own if you feel like it, but yeah. 3 of him for your turbo. 3 for Dynamite. He essentially just gets you your trap cards, which is probably some of the most broken cards in the deck. We'll get to those a little bit later on, but yeah, 3 of him again for the turbo build. And finish off the monsters. 1 maiden, just if you have her and you don't have your Masterpiece or your Dynamite, she searches them out when your opponent activates a card. So yeah, that's it for the monsters. For the spells, obviously your 3 diagram, just it fixes your bad hands, helps you get what you need to set up your quote-unquote unbreakable board with Masterpiece and a lot of back row. So 3 of those. 3 terraforming. I'll explain why a little bit later on, why I run 3 terraforming. It does clog a little bit, but if you have a really bad hand, which this deck can get, you need to see diagram as fast as possible to fix it. So 3 terraforming for that. For more draw, 3 card demise. I mean, just like I said, this is all turbo. You just get a Masterpiece out, set your back row, and just try to grind out your opponent for the win. 3 duality. Half the time you're sending your card or summoning your monster, so it doesn't really matter what card you reveal to add to your hand that your opponent gets to see. So yeah, there's that. 3 heritage. Really good card. You draw a card for every type of True King or True Draco card that's sent from the field to the graveyard, which is monster, spell, or trap. It's essentially a +3 if you do it right. 2 Pot of Desires. 3 got way too cloggy. Most of the time I can see myself playing 1 and usually banishing the other, which is good because you don't ever want to see a second demise. But yeah, that's your turbo aspect, that along with the rest of your draw engine. So yeah, 3 was just too much. 2, sometimes I don't like 2, but it's a necessary evil for the turbo build. 2 Disciples. It's basically your Pot of Avarice. Taking 3 cards from your graveyard, shuffling back to the deck and drawing a card, just helps you keep recycling your Masterpieces. 1 Domain, again, that's why you run 3 of the terraforming. It's an instant lockout for your opponent, and if they don't have Twin Twisters or MSTs or Cyclones, which is not a lot of decks are actually playing those, the ones that do, it's just basically pure zoo that actually do it. But again, if they don't have it, that's just an instant auto win. 1 Stormforth because it's broken, and Upstart to finish out the spells because who likes playing 39? Finish off the deck. Traps. 3 Return. This is the trap you want to see the most of. It's basically a monster reborn from your graveyard in defense mode. So let's say if your opponent Kaiju's your Masterpiece and it sends to the grave. Well, your opponent gives you, if they don't play the right Kaijus and they give you a strong one, you just activate Return, bring this to your field and set it. Now you have a Kaiju on your side, so they can't re-Kaiju this back. Plus it gives you another body, and if you have diagram, that's a 3250 on both ways. That's just really hard to get over. 2 Apocalypse. I was running it at 3 and really never came across the effect to destroy a True King or True Draco card that you had to reduce your monster's attack. Again, Masterpiece just by himself is 2950. That's really high to get over, especially if you have Domain or a Skill Drain or any other Floodgate. Your opponent's just really not going to get over it. So I decided to drop this down to 2. Made it a little more consistent. Mainly the effect you're going to use for your traps outside of the Monster Reborn for your return is to Tribute Summon on your opponent's turn. So yeah, I like it. 2 Strikes. your masterpiece is basically what's going to keep your opponent from advancing, but in the off case, your opponent has a card that activates in the graveyard or hand. Solemn Strike's just really good, like Ghost Ogres, Ghost Ashes. Ghost Ash really does hurt this deck. It's probably the one hand trap that kills this deck the most, so if you can get this out before your opponent can do an Ash, you know, you're good that way. Lose one turn. I had an extra spot and didn't really know what I wanted to put into it. Skill Drain just does wonders for this deck, but since Skill Drain's at 1, I did lose one turn. Just played it at 1. I really enjoy it. It helps you push to get to your other traps, such as strikes or your Skill Drain or Imperial Order. Just it really slows the game down for your opponent if they're outplaying you. So yeah, 1 Skill Drain. It's a obvious staple. Just masterpiece, unaffected by traps, flip, Skill Drain. I mean, your opponent really can't do nothing at that point. Imperial Order. You know, stop the barrages, stop the Tinky, stop the Twin Twisters, Cyclones, anything that could remove floodgates that could help your opponent advance their game state in Imperial Order. And to finish off the traps, the Solemn Warning, just because, I mean, why not like to push for game? And that wraps up my deck profile. So,
is there anything that you change about the deck?
No, I like it the way it is. It ran smooth. Yeah, you can still brick a little bit with it, but I said with all the draw power and with all the floodgates for trap cards, it's just, it really makes your opponent have a hard time pushing through it, and they got to waste a lot of resources unless their hand is just completely busted. Chances are you're going to grind it out just long enough to get what you need to start pushing back.
And are you going to play it past Link format?
It is probably my top deck to play for post Links, just because when Links come out, it's a new mechanic. Yeah, zoos aren't technically quite dead until we get a new ban list. If we do happen to hit Masterpiece, that's fine. Masterpiece at 1's totally okay. As long as he doesn't get banished, you can keep recycling. You're just adding more room for more floodgates. Same concept as banning Norton for zoos. You're just adding. You're not stopping the deck from going off. You're just somewhat killing the extenders. So yeah, I mean, 1 Masterpiece is fine. Diagram at 1, that does kind of hurt, but I mean, just there's so much draw.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much, man, for the deck profile. It's Corn from Scrubs for Hire signing out.
For sure.